Millionaire returned home early, caught Fiancée kicking his elderly mother, his actions shocked. When David, a young millionaire, returned home from a sudden business trip earlier than expected, he thought he'd surprise his beloved fiancée, Chloe. But what he witnessed behind closed doors shattered his heart and changed his life forever. As he stepped quietly into his mansion, the sound of shouting echoed from the living room, and then came a sound that froze him. His elderly mother crying for help. What David saw next was beyond cruel. The woman he planned to marry was kicking his fragile, helpless mother. Rage and disbelief consumed him. Instead of rushing in, David decided to record everything. What followed after this moment was a shocking chain of events that would expose true love, betrayal, and justice in the most unexpected way. David Miller was known as a young, self-made millionaire, kind-hearted, humble, and deeply devoted to his mother, Margaret. After his father's death, he had vowed never to let her feel lonely or unprotected. When Chloe entered his life, everything seemed perfect. She was elegant, charming, and made David feel alive again. Everyone admired their relationship, a picture-perfect love story built on smiles and luxury, but Margaret, David's mother, never truly trusted Chloe. She noticed the subtle things, how Chloe rolled her eyes when David wasn't looking, how she avoided helping in small things around the house, and how she treated the staff like they were beneath her. Still, Margaret chose silence, believing her son's happiness mattered most. One morning, David received a call about an urgent meeting in another city. He kissed his mother goodbye and promised to return in 2 days. Chloe acted sad to see him go, but as soon as his car disappeared, her mask began to slip. What started as small insults toward Margaret slowly turned into open cruelty. She forced the old woman to do chores, mocked her memory lapses, and even threw away her medicine when she became frustrated. The house staff watched helplessly, fearing they'd lose their jobs if they spoke up. But fate had its own plan. David's meeting got cancelled, and he decided to return home early. With a bouquet of roses in hand and love in his heart, when David stepped into his mansion, everything was eerily silent at first, until a muffled cry caught his attention. He followed the sound and froze. There, in the living room, his elegant fiancée was screaming at his mother, calling her useless and pathetic. Before he could even process what was happening, Chloe pushed the old lady, causing her to stumble and fall. David's heart pounded. Rage surged inside him, but he didn't storm in. He quietly pulled out his phone and hit record. Every cruel word, every shove, every insult, he captured it all. When Chloe finally walked away, David rushed to his mother, helped her up, and promised softly, "I'll handle this." Minutes later, Chloe returned, pretending nothing happened. David sat calmly on the couch, acting as if he had just arrived. "Surprise, honey," he said with a forced smile. Her face turned pale. "I thought you were out of town." She stammered, "Oh, I was," David replied coldly, showing her the recording. "But looks like I came back just in time." Her expression twisted from fear to arrogance. "You're really going to believe her over me?" she hissed. David didn't respond. He simply turned the phone toward her. The sound of her own voice filled the room. That night, David made a decision that stunned everyone, but he wasn't done yet. The next morning, the mansion was filled with tension. Chloe begged, cried, and tried to apologize, claiming she lost control. David listened silently, then asked her to leave. But she refused. "You can't throw me out. We're getting married," she shouted. David's calmness unnerved her. "The wedding is cancelled," he said firmly. "And I've already sent this video to my lawyer, the media, and every charity organization you pretended to support." Her jaw dropped. Within hours, Chloe's glamorous life crumbled. Her reputation as a philanthropist vanished as the truth spread. The world saw her true face. Meanwhile, David publicly praised his mother, sharing her sacrifices and love in an emotional video that went viral. Messages of support flooded in from around the world. Margaret smiled tearfully as she watched her son stand tall, not just as a millionaire, but as a man of honor. A few months later, David launched a foundation for elderly care in his mother's name, helping abused and neglected parents find comfort and respect. He never looked back at Chloe again. For David, the biggest fortune wasn't money, it was the lesson that true love always starts with respect for those who raised you. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more powerful stories about love, betrayal, and justice. Your support helps us bring more real-life inspired stories to light.